Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today I'm going to do a review on the Keurig K-Slim. I've done reviews in the past on the K-Slim, but this is the new K-Slim with the multi-brew technology, MultiStream. So this is the older K-Slim. It's got one needle up here. The new K-Slim is going to have 5 needles, the MultiStream technology. So right now I've only seen this on the Keurig website. It retails for $100. They're running sales on it. I got mine for $75. Right now it's on sale for $80. Okay, so I've got it unboxed, and there you have it. K-Slim with 5 needles. Looks just like a Supreme, K-Supreme. There's the bottom needle basket. Again, here's the original K-Slim with 1 needle. Now check out my next video. I'm going to be doing a comparison. We've got the original K-Slim. We've got the K-Slim Iced. This video is going to be the K-Slim MultiStream technology. So front to back looks like almost 14 inches. Side to side is about 4 3/4. And with the handle up, it's only about 17. So it fits under a kitchen cabinet just fine. Kitchen cabinets are about 19 inches. And right here we can fit about a 6-inch mug. But with the drip tray removed, it fits a 7-inch mug. 7-inch travel mug. Drip tray is pretty standard. All plastic. Looks like it comes with the standard K-Slim quick start guide. They don't really talk much in here about the multi-brew technology, but at least they do give us the descaling procedure. So that's going to be nice. So overall, this is a pretty, everything's plastic. You've got a plastic handle. You've got 8, 10, and 12. You've got an add water light and a descale light and a power button. And then that's your brew button. Around back, we've got a lid for the water reservoir. You lift the water reservoir. It's got a nice handle, pretty standard for the K-Slim. And then it slides down in those tracks. Now, this does not come with a water filter. I'll do a separate video on how to install a water filter. So on the bottom of it, it does have 2 rubber feet. Now they're calling this the K900. 120 volts, 60 hertz, 1,520 watts. Again, the K900 is the model number. So let's set it up for our first use. They want you to rinse out the water tank with some soap and water. Then we're going to fill it up. There's a max line right here. We're going to fill it up to the max part. Okay, we've got the water tank filled up. I like that it sits flat, but it is kind of tippy, so be careful. But we're going to slide it down in those tracks. You got to start up and then kind of slide it down. It's got the standard plug on it, 3-prong plug. Okay, I've got it plugged in. We're going to turn the power button on. We're going to lift the handle. We're not going to put a K-cup in here yet. We're going to leave that empty. We want to do a freshwater rinse. Select the 8 ounce and then the K. This is called a freshwater rinse. After we do this, the Keurig machine will be ready to use. Okay, so I did get a little bit of a pop. I think that's just because it's the first time using it. It's not super loud right now. Okay, and it shut off. Let's try that again. 8 ounce K button. So the first time I did it, nothing came out and I got like a pop. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now we've got some water coming out. So it did take 2 times doing that. The first time nothing came out. But I think that's okay. There's a pump inside there that's got to get primed. And here we've got the fresh water rinse coming out. So one thing, while it's brewing, never lift the handle while hot water's coming out, and never take the tank off the back while it's brewing. So this K-Slim it's really fast and it's really quiet. Okay, so after we're just going to throw that water away. That's the fresh water rinse. All these lights go out. The power button is still on. We're going to lift the handle. We can see it. Just rinse this area. Rinse the needles. Okay, so now let's brew a coffee. So if you look at, let's just take standard K-cups. They look like this. If you cut a K-cup open, it's got 2 tablespoons of coffee grounds in there, and it's inside a coffee filter. But if you look at the box, most boxes don't tell you what to brew your K-cups on. That's the nice thing about a Keurig. So this one gives us the option to brew an 8 ounce, a 10 ounce, or a 12 ounce. That's how much water is going to run through the K-cup. I typically like mine on 8 ounce. 10 ounce seems a little watered down to me, and 12 ounce seems really watered down. But if you like the taste of a 10 ounce or a 12 ounce, that's fine. It's just unfortunate that K-cups can only hold 2 tablespoons of coffee. So you can't put like a big K-cup in there and get a bunch of coffee through it. You can only, 2 tablespoons is what's in here. So the Seattle's Best, I've really started to like lately. You just lift the handle. Now, you're just gonna set the K-cup in there. It's gonna do all the work. See that needle on the bottom? It's gonna poke a hole in the bottom of the K-cup when I close the handle. And then when I close the handle, it's gonna poke 5 holes in the top. And see that little arm's gonna grab it first. It pokes it down. There, the bottom one is poked. Now we're gonna do the top 5. There. Let's just take a look, see we popped. There's the 5 at the top, and there's the 1 in the bottom. Now I'm gonna use a different one. That was just for demonstration. If you ever poke a hole, you're not supposed to reuse these if you ever do that. So grab a new one. Now if you live in a high altitude setting, you can poke the K-cup onto the bottom needle. So just like that, and then it sits flush. And then when you close the handle, there you go. Now, the power's already on. These lights are flashing, saying, what do you want to do? Show you, see how they're flashing? They're saying select one first. Once I select one, it lights up steady. Now the K button's flashing. That's what I press. That's the brew button. Press the K button, and then it starts brewing. And this coffee maker started brewing within about 10-15 seconds. Let's do temperature checks. So the water coming out of the brewer is about 188. It's ramping up 192. 192, that's about standard for a Keurig. 193. 194. 194. That's about the highest I've seen. So about 194. Again, very quiet coffee maker. I'm not getting a bunch of splashes around. And then just when you think it's done, there'll be a last gush that comes out. And there you have it. So the machine will turn itself off after 5 minutes, but it's a good idea to remove these K-cups. Now this goes especially true for these 5 needle ones. See how you start to get, this is just doing 1 K-cup, you start to get some coffee grounds on there. So when you have a MultiStream brewer, freshwater rinses are gonna be your friend. So you're gonna take this K-cup out, careful, they can be hot, it poked its hole. So there's the coffee. Now I didn't preheat this mug or anything, but you end up with a really nice hot coffee. It's cooled off just a little bit. It was about 165 when it first came out. And there's an 8 ounce. And again, to me, that tastes really good. Now, some people like 6 ounces through a K-cup. Unfortunately, this coffee maker does not do 6 ounces. Some Keurigs do have a 6 ounce button, but this one does not. Okay, so let's talk about these 5 needles. So hot water comes out of each one of those needles, the center one and all 4 side ones. Now, as you can see, there is some coffee grounds on there. Now that's okay. Those coffee grounds, typically when they're up here, they don't make it into your coffee drink. And that's because when you've got the K-cup in there, this comes down and it is sealed. So the coffee grounds, even though you may have them on the needles, they don't, in order to get to your drink, they're gonna have to go around the K-cup and into this basket area. Now, that's not to say that they won't. I have found after I do about 5 or 6 K-cups that sometimes coffee grounds start to make their way down in here, and then you might get a few coffee grounds into your coffee. And they're really noticeable when you do, because they're kind of big coffee grounds. But again, when they're up here, it's okay to see them up here, because the next K-Cup I put in, now you may get, the coffee grounds are going to stay on the top. Again, they would have to come out around and around this to get into your coffee. But with the MultiStream technology, I do find I do a lot more freshwater rinses. I do think the coffee tastes better. I do think it does taste better. Unfortunately, with the K-Slim, you're not allowed to adjust a strong brew or the temperature. When you get into the K-Supremes, you can adjust temperature and strength, which really helps brew the K-Cup. But these are about $150 to $200 for the K-Supremes. So with this one, I don't have a bold brew. I don't have any way to adjust the temperature. You're always going to get the same temperature and the same strength. But you do get the multi-brew technology. So let's do a freshwater rinse. Again, just don't make sure there's no K-Cup in here. Just close the lid. Do an 8 ounce. You can do a freshwater rinse 12 ounce if you want. Just do 8, press the K button. And we'll see. It gets most of those coffee grounds off the top needles. Now, when you do freshwater rinses, I do find that it splatters more than when you're doing a coffee. So when you do a freshwater rinse, you do get some splatters around, but not so much when it's doing a coffee. Okay, so be careful, that water will be hot. I don't know if you can see it in there, but there are a few coffee grounds from the top. There are a few coffee grounds, so let's see how it did up here. See how it does a decent job of getting rid of the coffee grounds on the top needles. So the nice thing about these Keurigs, you don't have to do coffee. You can do hot cocoa mixes, there's latte mixes. A lot of times they will tell you, but sometimes they don't tell you what to brew it on. This one tells you to do an 8 ounce for a hot cocoa with peppermint. I'm going to do a separate video on how to clean the needles. So if you do leave K-Cups in there, it does run the potential to clog the needles. I'll show you how to clean them with a paper clip. Okay, so there is a light. This is called the add water light. It's flashing right now. Even though I got quite a bit of water left in the reservoir, it knows that I can't do the largest brew. So even though there is quite a bit of water in the reservoir, the add water light's on. I'm not able to use the machine. So I can't press an 8, I can't do any brew until I fill the add water, till I put some water in. So again, you can press the power button and turn it off, but it will shut itself off after 5 minutes. There's no way to adjust that. And if the unit's not on, just by lifting the handle, turns it on. So you don't always have to press the power button. You can just lift the handle and it turns it on. Now the only other light is this D-scale light. Let's talk about that. These are not buttons, they're just lights. Okay, so they call the D-scale light their maintenance alert. Remind you to D-scale after every 250 brews. So Keurig's doing things a little different. They're lighting that D-scale light after 250 brews. So they got some technology that's counting your brews. Now the only way to get the D-scale light off, you have to follow the descaling procedure. And the descaling procedure shows you how to put the machine into a descale mode. You've got to put your Keurig or vinegar in there, run the descaling mode, do the freshwater rinses. At the end, the descale light will go out. I'm going to do a separate video on that. I'm also going to do a separate video on how to use the reusable K-Cup. You got to buy the new design My K-Cup with the 5 needle holes. I'll show you how to put it into high altitude mode. Again, there's the auto off. And this thing will brew they call it back-to-back brewing. You can brew a K-Cup one right after the other. This thing heats up quick. It's fast. It's it's the fastest and quiet coffee maker Keurig machine. And again, they talk about the MultiStream technology extracts more flavor and aroma. I do think that is the case. So weekly, they talk about doing a rinse pod. I do recommend rinse pods between, like if you do a hot chocolate or a tea and then you want to do a coffee, rinse pods are pretty good about getting the flavors between the two. It says you should descale every 3 months or when the notification turns on. Here's a fun fact. So I brew a lot of different types of coffees, but do you know which one smells the best when brewing? It's the donut shop. Now, I like it's not my best tasting coffee, but for some reason, their coffee, when it's brewing, the aroma that comes off of the brew just smells really good. But here we have, I brewed one of these. I'm going to cut it open and show you. So here we have the bottom needle poked a hole. Your coffee is kept in a filter basket, or in a filter. Now let's cut the top off. Okay, so here we can see, so water does get injected in more places than just the center when you've got the 5 needles. So I am going to give this a Just a Dad sticker seal of approval. I do like the multi-brew or the MultiStream technology with the 5 needles. Again, check out this is my next videos I'm going to do. I'm going to compare it to the other. There's 2 more K-Slims. There's the iced and the original. Thanks everybody for watching. If you could, please like and subscribe.